"It's just business," she said. Her voice didn't shake. Mine didn't answer. She stood up before I could process the words, smoothing her jacket like this was a meeting that had simply run its course. Her boss rose with her, too quickly, too comfortably. They didn't look at each other, but they didn't need to. That was the detail that stayed with me, not the words, not the dismissal, the silence between them. She walked out first, he followed, side by side, a practiced distance, the kind that only comes from rehearsal. I remained seated, hands folded, breathing slow. My pulse stayed where it was. I watched the door close. I listened to the hum of the building. I waited for something inside me to break. Nothing did. That scared me more than anger would have. I stood, adjusted my coat, and left without saying goodbye to anyone. In the elevator, my reflection stared back at me, calm, pale, intact, a man who still believed his life was orderly. By the time I reached my car, I understood something fundamental. This wasn't an ending, it was a transaction, and every transaction leaves a trail. The drive home was quiet, no music, no calls. I replayed the last year instead, small moments I'd ignored because they were inconvenient to question. Late meetings that ran past midnight, a phone always face down, a new seriousness about money that didn't match her salary, and that phrase, just business. She used to say that about everything she didn't want to explain. At home, her side of the closet smelled different, a sharper cologne, expensive, masculine, not mine. I didn't touch anything. I didn't need to. The evidence wasn't physical, it was behavioral. She came home late that night. I pretended to sleep. She stood in the doorway longer than usual, as if checking whether I was still part of the room. I felt her watching me. I didn't move. Over the next few days, I noticed patterns, calls she took in the car, messages she deleted immediately, a name she never mentioned but that appeared repeatedly in her calendar under vague initials, same initials as her boss. I didn't accuse. Accusations are emotional. I observed. And observation done long enough becomes certainty. I became methodical. I pulled phone records under the pretense of consolidating bills, numbers repeated, long calls, always after office hours, always ending before she came home. I visited her workplace once, unannounced, watched through glass walls, the way he leaned in when he spoke, the way she didn't pull away. No touching, no witnesses, perfect discipline. That takes practice. I followed him one evening, not close enough to be seen, just enough to learn. He drove past the city, past the noise, into a gated neighborhood where privacy was purchased in acres. A mansion, quiet, isolated, protected. Men like him don't hide affairs, they hide leverage. I waited days before returning, chose a time when he was away. Security is predictable when you know what you're looking for, contracts, not guards. I didn't break anything, I didn't need to. People always leave something unlocked when they believe they're untouchable. Inside, the house told its own story, not of love, but of control. Hidden rooms, locked cabinets, documents stored digitally but mirrored physically for reassurance. That's where I found it, the secret he protected most. I sat in my car afterward, hands steady, heart quiet. The evidence wasn't dramatic, no photos, no bodies, just proof, clean, undeniable. Financial records, private agreements, a pattern of exploitation disguised as mentorship, and my wife's name, signed, repeatedly. She wasn't just involved, she was complicit. That night, I placed a folder on the kitchen table, said nothing, went to shower. When I returned, she was still standing there, pages trembling in her hands. Her face collapsed when she realized what I knew. "You went through my things," she whispered. I looked at her, really looked. "No," I said, "I went through his." She tried to speak, to explain, to justify. Tears arrived right on schedule. I watched them fall without reaction. I didn't need her confession. I already had the truth. I didn't confront him in person. That would have been indulgent. I sent one message, one video, time-stamped, verified, unaltered. No threats, no demands, just proof. I imagined him opening it alone, watching his world narrow to a screen, understanding instantly that his power depended entirely on silence, and that silence was gone. By morning, my wife was unemployed, terminated without explanation, her access revoked, her calls unanswered, and his number disconnected from me entirely. She begged me to intervene, to call him, to fix it. She used my name like a tool, like she always had. I didn't raise my voice. I already did, I said. I moved out a week later. No lawyers yet, no fights, just distance. She cried. I listened, not out of compassion, but completion. There's value in seeing the final shape of someone's fear. I don't hate her. Hate requires attachment. What I feel is clarity. She thought power was borrowed. She learned it's taken, sometimes quietly, sometimes with a single message. I drive past that mansion occasionally, gates still closed, lights still on, but I know what's inside now. So do they, and that knowledge is enough. I didn't win her back. I didn't need to. I walked away with something far more permanent: control.